Adolf Hitler, The Untold Truth. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria, to Alois Hitler and Clara Pausel. His early life was filled with family conflict, particularly with his strict father, who disapproved of Hitler's artistic ambitions. Hitler wasn't a strong student, and after his father's death in 1903, his academic performance worsened. His dream of becoming a painter was crushed when the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna rejected him twice. This failure marked a critical point in his life, as he drifted into poverty and political disillusionment. When World War I broke out in 1914, Hitler enlisted in the German army. He served as a messenger, a dangerous job that exposed him to the brutal reality of trench warfare. Hitler was wounded twice during the war and received several awards for bravery, including the Iron Cross. However, Germany's defeat in 1918 devastated him. He believed that Germany had been stabbed in the back by politicians and communists, which fueled his hatred and played a crucial role in shaping his future political beliefs. After World War I, Hitler joined a small political group called the German Workers' Party in 1919. His strong speaking skills quickly gained attention, and he rose to become the party's leader. Under his leadership, the group was renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party. Hitler used propaganda and his fiery speeches to rally support. He promised to rebuild Germany, restore its pride, and punish those he blamed for the country's downfall, particularly Jews, communists, and the Treaty of Versailles, which he considered unjust. In 1923, Hitler attempted to overthrow the German government through the beer hall putsch, a failed coup in Munich. The plan collapsed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. During his 9 months in jail, he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle, a book outlining his political ideas, beliefs, and plans for Germany's future. In Mein Kampf, Hitler blamed Jews for many of the world's problems, a belief that would later become central to his policies. Although the coup failed, Hitler's time in prison gave him national exposure and allowed him to refine his ideas. By the early 1930s, Germany was in deep economic and political turmoil due to the Great Depression. The Nazi Party capitalized on this instability by promising jobs, national pride, and a better future. In 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Once in power, Hitler quickly began consolidating control, passing laws that gave him nearly unlimited authority. This marked the beginning of the Nazi dictatorship, where political opposition was crushed and personal freedoms were restricted. After becoming Chancellor, Hitler moved swiftly to establish a totalitarian regime, calling it the Third Reich. He declared that this regime would last for 1,000 years. One of his first actions was to pass the Enabling Act in 1933, which gave him dictatorial powers. All political parties except the Nazi Party were banned, and the government tightly controlled the press, education, and even art. Hitler's regime also began rearming Germany, violating the Treaty of Versailles, as he prepared the country for expansion and war. One of the darkest aspects of Hitler's rule was his obsession with anti-Semitism. As early as 1935, the Nuremberg laws were passed, which stripped Jews of their German citizenship and banned marriages between Jews and non-Jews. Hitler's hatred of Jews culminated in the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were systematically murdered. The Nazis used concentration camps and death camps to carry out this genocide. Hitler viewed Jews as subhuman and believed they were responsible for Germany's problems, including its defeat in World War I. In 1939, Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies led to the outbreak of World War II. Germany invaded Poland on September 1, 1939, causing Britain and France to declare war on Germany. Over the next few years, Hitler's armies conquered much of Europe, including France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. His goal was to create a greater Germany and dominate Europe. However, his decision to invade the Soviet Union in 1941 proved to be a significant mistake, as it led to a prolonged war on the Eastern Front that drained Germany's resources. Hitler cultivated a godlike image among his followers through propaganda. The Nazi regime portrayed him as Germany's savior, the Führer leader who could restore the country's greatness. Hitler's speeches were broadcast across Germany, and he was often depicted as a heroic, larger-than-life figure in Nazi-controlled media. Rallies, posters, and films glorified his leadership, making him the focal point of the Nazi state. This cult of personality was essential in keeping the population loyal, even as the war turned against Germany. By 1944, the tide of World War II had turned against Hitler. The Allies had landed in Normandy, and Soviet forces were advancing from the east. Germany's defeat seemed inevitable. Hitler's leadership became increasingly erratic, and he retreated into a bunker in Berlin as Allied forces closed in. On April 30, 1945, as Soviet troops entered the city, Hitler committed suicide by taking cyanide and shooting himself. His death marked the collapse of the Nazi regime, and shortly afterward, Germany surrendered. Hitler's actions left Europe in ruins and resulted in millions of deaths.